Hey everyone, this is Dr. Lorenzo Neal. Thank you so much for thinking not robbery to tune into my channel one more time. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button and bell for notifications of when I upload. I'm trying to be more consistent with the uploading. So I thank you so much for joining with me today. You've seen the title of this video and you know what I'm going to be talking about. Let's get into it. This story comes out of Ada, Oklahoma. First, I want to give a shout out to Miss Amy Brock of the Old Black Church blog and to Dawson Speaks, his channel. I got wind of this from both of those outlets. And if you would be so kind to go support them, Dawson Speaks, Dawson TV, and Ann Brock and the Old Black Church for this story. Now, if you've been out of the loop, these last several weeks, we've seen news stories of pastors who have been shot and killed or shot in some capacity. And this story seems to take the follow in that mood. This is, I think there's several that have happened across the country. What makes this one unique is the individuals involved in it. Pastor David Evans was the pastor of the Harmony Free Will Baptist Church in Ada, Oklahoma. He and his wife, Christy, apparently were swingers, or they opened their marriage up to another individual. Either way, they opened their marriage up. And as what happens in a lot of menage a trois, one person becomes a little bit more involved than the other. And in this case, the first lady, Mrs. Evans, became a little bit more involved with her lover. And her lover, let me pull it up real quick. Her lover is 26-year-old Khalil Square. Khalil, I'm sorry. Her lover is 26-year-old Khalil Square. Now, the couple opened their marriage up to Khalil for a threesome, and apparently they had been doing so quite frequently, and they've become familiar with each other. But the first lady got a little too attached and decided that she wanted to pursue this relationship with her lover outside of her marriage. Now, you would think the simplest thing to do would be, file for the divorce. I suspect, as many others do, that because they're good Baptists, they had to keep up that appearance of a happy, loving, married couple, that divorce was not an option. So, divorce is an option. What do? You have your husband killed. It's a sad state of affairs. In situations like that, where couples, especially Christian couples and couples in ministry, cannot admit that they have faults. We all do. Now, full disclosure, I am divorced. I've been divorced for a very long time. And I know what it's like to have that disarray in your marriage. I know what it's like to try to keep the front, keep the facade up. And oftentimes the facade wears off, and eventually you have to face the music about what's really happening in your relationship. But even when my ex-wife and I were going through our most trying moments, murder was never an option. Never an option. And it's sad that it has come to this. Two persons' lives are lost. You have the lost life of a pastor who's probably beloved in his community, and you have the lost life of a young black man for gun violence. We can never really ascertain what goes through people's minds. But here's the thing, and this is the take I want to put on it. I believe now, we as pastors, as Christian folk, we have to really deal with the reality of what's happening when it comes to sex. We have been sexually repressed for a long time. And I know what the scripture says, and I'm not trying to get into that. I welcome your commentary, though. You can share your comments. You can share the scriptures on sexual immorality. welcome. I know what it says. You can say it. But the reality is there's so many of us who are not practicing what we preach. Behind closed doors, we are fornicators. Behind closed doors, we are adulterers. Behind closed doors, we are not as holy or righteous as we would like to be. And I'm pointing the finger at myself first. Now, don't read into that too much. But, you know, there's a lot of things that we try to cover up, and we can manipulate ourselves into believing we're more than what we are. But sex is a very powerful, sexual desire is a very powerful emotion. And when I say it's very powerful, those of us who experience as single people, we know it can drive you to be creative. It can drive you to be very productive, or it can drive you to doing things with individuals that you know you don't want to do with. You feel bad afterwards, and you cry out to God or whatever, whoever you may cry out to, because you know that was preventable. And I wish this wife, part of me wonders, what was this wife thinking? What was her thought processes? As a therapist and a pastoral counselor, this is one of the things I try to, when I hear of instances like this, not just when it comes to death, but any type of infidelity, I always try to get to the root of the issue. What was the process? What was the emotional processing? What was the, societal processing that may have stimulated this event? But nonetheless, it's a sad case of affair. It is a very sad affair. Now, the young man, Khalil Square, apparently they had been rendezvousing, as I said, for a number of times. And maybe he saw something out of it that he thought he would benefit from. I can't possibly figure out what that is. Maybe some of you could, if you feel free, if you want to, you can share that in the comments. I can't think of anything that would have allowed or brought about this. But anyway, this young man has, is possibly facing a lifetime in prison because of his actions. And it's a sad thing. And I don't know how to feel about the pastor's wife. The story says, as reported by the local outlet, media outlet, says that the week before his death, David Evans went on a mission trip to Mexico. And while her husband was out of town, Evans invited Square into their home. And he stayed there at least 3 nights. And the neighbors recognized, he stayed there. His vehicle was there. The neighbors were able to identify his vehicle. And it was saying that during this time is when they did the plot to have her husband killed. During the interview, the report says that during the interview, Evans told investigators that she asked Square to kill her husband. According to the court documents, Evans said she gave the bullets and the gun, which was her husband's gun. According to the media and the court reports, Evans gave Square the gun and the bullets. The gun belonged to her husband that he had acquired from a member of the church as a trade. And that the wife of this pastor urged her lover to proceed with the plan. They plotted this. Can you imagine? The story further goes on to say that Evans said she went to her husband, and when she saw him on the bed gurgling, he was dying, she sat on the side of the bed and then called for help. I don't know what to make of it. But both of them are in custody now, and both are being charged with murder. And it's just a sad thing to see. It's a sad thing. Now, however you express yourself sexually, that's none of my business. But I just want you to know you should be able to see other options before something like this. Yeah, murder should never be an option. And I just can't see. I think this lady's love for her husband was far gone before this. And she probably was the one who initiated the three-way anyway. I don't know. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Feel free to leave the comments down in the comment section. Please be courteous. You know, whatever you have, make sure you say it in a nice way. Any of that. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel. And do so. We appreciate it. Hit us up on Patreon. Follow us on Patreon. Follow us on all our social media. There in the description section. We appreciate you so much.